This is the Simpit. I'm your host, Sean Cole, and welcome to today's edition of the Pit Stop, where you, the pit crew, are the real star of today's show, because we are here to talk about the news. And before we even get down to the news, I have a couple of small apologies to make. Number one, the first apology is for YouTube, and that's not really me apologizing for me, but it's an inconvenience for all of you guys out there. They have been having some weird technical difficulties, so the last few streams have had the wrong thumbnails attached to them. We've had some difficulty with getting it to launch the stream and set the notification. So I apologize for all of that. Hopefully they'll get that squared away. After the fact, I can get the correct thumbnail, but right now on the screen, that is the proper thumbnail for today's show. My other apology is that I am going to admit I have not had a chance to actually go through a lot of today's news topics. So I'm going to be just really honest with you guys. Normally I get a chance to at least graze through the article and have an idea what I'm talking about. Today I'm really flying a little bit blind, and I have a lot of stories. So I do apologize in advance if I mess anything up, or I say it incorrectly, or I talk about something that just isn't cool news. Beyond that, today we have a lot of sim racing news, and today we actually have a lot of news that kind of goes one step beyond sim racing. And, you know, this is something in the future. I'm kind of wondering the balance and the way and direction of this show and how I want it to go. I always, of course, want to cover sim racing news, and if today I just went through the straightforward sim racing news, we would probably have about an 8-minute show without any additional conversation from you guys. With my add-on stuff, we're going to stretch this out probably a little over 20 minutes. So you guys will have to give me an idea. Sometimes I can't keep up with your thoughts on the chat. If you're on the Discord, that'd be great if you could let me know your thoughts there on balance of the show and what you guys want to see. So anyway, that's just a little food for thought off the top of my head. I have no rants today, so to an extent you could almost call that my rant of the day, but it's just a thought for you guys and for the show. So let's get on to the news. First thing coming, and again, as usual, for the at least starting this week, if you go to thesimpit.com, you will see the thumbnail for this show. I do have the links to all of the articles we're going to talk about in the description of the show right there. So you can go get those links if you want to follow along, or any of these stories or something you want more detail than I'm even giving you. So let's start things off. If you guys didn't enter, you couldn't win. But RFactor did have that painting competition. We talked about it a few times, and this is the winning entry. And look at the gear they're going to win. Beautiful top-end Fanatic gear they're getting. And I will say, that is a gorgeous-looking Mercedes right there. So the painter of this is Bryce Lowe, and congratulations to him, because I think that's a beautiful paint scheme. Really well done. If you really are a painter, Stan, and you look at this and you look at like the blend lines where one panel goes to the other, it's hard to find a single pixel out of position on this paint job. So really nice paint job by him. Congratulations to him, and enjoy that Fanatic gear. Next up, Project Cars 2. Just give me a little warning, they are moving forward with their ESL, Project Cars Esport. Their final number 2 at Laguna Seca and Hockenheim in the touring cars is happening today. You can check that out on Twitch. Both of these, the last story was at the RFactor 2 Twitter feed. This one's at Project Cars 2 Twitter feed. If you want to watch that, there's a link to where it's going to be on Twitch. You can watch it. And again, I'm going to keep pushing you guys. I don't have the time to go after all these competitions. I'd love to have somebody from the pit crew really hone their skills and go after and let me know what it's like. Is it cutthroat? Is it hard? Is it easy? Where are you on the leaderboard? I'd love to hear that from you guys. One of my motivations for the show is to make sim racing better, more enjoyable, and make you guys faster, and let's see if we can reap the benefits of all of that, perhaps. Next up, Dirt. I'm just gonna, the reason I'm showing this picture is they put this up on their Twitter feed. This is Dirt Game, Dirt 4, Codemasters. And this is a picture of the guys from somebody from the WRC, I'm sorry, FIA World RX team at 6:30, still driving. So they're sitting in the office. The reason I tell you this is I mentioned that Codemasters had jobs that they were, you know, they're looking for various different people in positions. And I encourage all of you to get out there and turn your hobby into a career. But, you know, you could be one of these guys hanging around the office watching some pro play your game and let you know what he thinks of it. That's quite a life. That's quite a life. If you're sitting here watching this show, I would imagine this is a dream job for you. Next up, WRC. There's a big patch coming out today on Steam and on the PS4 and on the Xbox One. There's a whole patch list, but this is version 1.4 of WRC 7. And if you go to that's on their Facebook page, you can get the full details of all of the things. It's a pretty good list of things being added and changed to the sim. And, you know, I've been contacting these guys and have not heard back from them. So, hopefully... VSR, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. On the Project Cars. That was 23 hours ago. Thank you. I'm sorry about that. Very sorry about that. Thank you for the correction, though. Can we still... Well, you could probably go to Twitch and see how it played out. Sorry. Patch 4. We've been talking about Rudy, and we've been talking about him with his whole McLaren World's Fastest Gamer. I did that interview. We talked a little bit about the E-Rock, which he will be an ambassador to the E-Rock, and then he's all the way into the main event. But there is another message. It's only 20 seconds long, but it's him giving a little message out as he gets ready for the ROC Race of Champions. And I mention this because Rudy's become a good friend of the show, and I am really pulling for this guy. I really want to see what he can do against the real-life guys, and I think he might turn some heads. That's for sure. Next up, moving right along today, guys. Heusinkveld, their pedals are back in stock. I saw somebody mention they just got a pair. So back in stock. They had been out of stock. Looks like their handbrake and their sequential shifter are ready for shipping as well. They had let me know that I could test out that sequential shifter when it was ready. So I'm going to have to contact them. I'm going to have to put them on my hit list and make sure that happens. But if you've been holding out for a, you know, arguably one of the best sets of pedals on the market, they are back in stock and you can get one now. Next up, TT Isle of Man. This is the same company behind WRC 7, and I've been again trying to get a hold of them. You want to be a real helper of the show. Send an email to these guys and say, would you hurry up and send a copy over to the Simpit? So, but they have another teaser, so they are really getting closer. March is when this game is coming out. I can't wait to try it. I hope it's fun. I hope they've found that balance between physics, so there's a realism to its drive, and the ability to use a controller or a steering wheel and get some kind of satisfaction. But visually, it looks excellent. Let's hope playability that it is also excellent. National Corvette Museum adds a Corvette-themed racing simulator. So check this out. They got a full-bodied Corvette. They're charging $10 to drive the thing, but they obviously have the steering wheel and the pedals all functional. I see it up on platforms. I didn't read ahead. They're calling it a 4D experience. So that is a lot of Ds. Oh, look, we have a little in action. Let's forward and see what we got. It looks like they're running Assetto Corsa. So we can see in this video, they're running Assetto Corsa with the Corvette, obviously. And is it moving? Is it shaking? I don't see any movement. Oh, there might be just a little teeny bit of movement. Again, I'm sorry I haven't been able to read ahead and find out. But the reason I bring it up isn't to be a super knowledgeable person on their simulator as much as, you know, one of the things I talk about all the time, and I think you guys will be in agreement with me, but any time that sim racing can be seen by the general public is their opportunity to get a first taste for sim racing. So some unsuspecting guy goes to the Corvette Museum because he's a big Corvette fan, sees the simulator, thinks, $10, I'll give it a shot. Next thing you know, he's asking questions to this guy in a red shirt. Hey, well, what is this simulation? And if that red shirt guy is cool, he'll be like, hey, it's Assetto Corsa. You can be playing it at home for $39.99 or whatever they're charging today. So, great job by Corvette Museum. I applaud them on what they're doing. I wish I had the ultimate budget. I'd go out there right now just to go to the Corvette Museum and drive their sim, and to go to the Corvette Museum. We talked about Richmond Raceway and their simulator competition that's going to be going on all season long, it seems like. And they're kind of trickling out. And this, again, they're using simulation as a marketing. This is marketing for them. But it looks like it's going to be a full-bodied race car. and it looks like it's going to be painted up with the number 46 to honor the year the track was built. And they are doing 704 games NASCAR Heat 2 on the Xbox and PlayStation 4. And am I not seeing any word of iRacing on this version? That was the NASCAR specific variation. This is the Richmond Raceway specific version. So I am... Oh yeah, iRacing. The new simulator is one tier of Richmond's new esports program, Richmond Raceway Esports. In addition to the iRacing simulator, Richmond has developed an online racing league with 704 games and their NASCAR Heat 2 racing game. So, lots going on there. Again, pushing esport. We've been talking 2018, the year at esport. DTM star Gary Paffett. I don't follow DTM. If I messed up Paffett's name, I so apologize. But DTM star Gary Paffett has made it clear that he'd like to run Formula E as Mercedes enters into the Formula E competition as well. And the reason I'm mentioning this is that's a Formula E story. It has nothing to do with sim racing other than maybe it's the bridge between simulation and real life in terms of being electronic and all. But he's been doing a bunch of work on the Williams simulator and testing. So this guy's a good sim racing driver apparently as well. So, and in the article they talk about it. So again, talking to the masses, simulation. I want that everyday guy who doesn't know what we do to be thinking, what is this simulation everyone keeps talking about? So, anyway, that's a small story there. Joe Gibbs' off-season sim racing league reaches midpoint with more than 250,000 viewers. You know, you combine the power and the name of Joe Gibbs Racing with what we do here all the time, throw some big names into their events, and you're going to basically get 250,000 viewers. So, Joe Gibbs, if you don't know, they've had their foot in the world of sim racing. They've made a steering wheel. I don't know if it was made available to the public, but I know they made it, and it was out there, and it was available. So, here's the full schedule. You can go to, well, I have the link at thesimpit.com. So, if you want to check out the schedule of when these will be going on. But, again, getting the word out. 250,000 people are now aware of sim racing. So, next up. Formula One's esports gaming revolution will accelerate in 2018. And if you want to check this out, this is at autosport.com, F1 News. But I just love the headline. It's hard to believe that a little more than 1 year ago, F1's only real interest in gaming appeared to be how much money it could get for licensing their official product. Like, Formula One's only affiliation with sim racing was selling the license to Assetto Corsa, to iRacing, to Project Cars, RFactor, and on and on and on. Whereas now, Formula One is actively getting involved, whether you're talking about McLaren's World's Fastest Gamer, whether you're talking about the prospect of a Ferrari esport team, the Logitech with Alonso esport team, whether you're talking about the thoughts that Formula One has actually talked about their official esports. All of these things are coming together, and that's the difference between 1 year. Just a year ago, it was a licensing only, and now we're talking about it being a tier to an extent, endorsed by, officially promoting and offering their own competitions. So again, 2018 esport is going to be something else. Another story, how F1 will build on its esport success story. This is at motorsport.com. So I know we're in the off season where real life racing news is a little short. So they're looking for that other type of news that they can tap into right now. But look at this. Article after article after article about esports and the importance and power of it to real life motorsports, which has been suffering or hurting or losing viewership. You know, so this is an important phase for them, and it's an important phase for us. Next up, Driver San Francisco Far Cry 2 now available on Xbox One via backwards compatibility. So, Driver San Francisco, they said one of the greatest racing games of all time. I would bitterly argue that claim. But Driver San Francisco was one of the best open world driving games ever made, and I thought it was a very high quality game in its own way. If you upgraded to the Xbox One, then all of a sudden it wasn't working. It's been upgraded, and now you can run that. Next up, WRC Esport Season 3. So we had talked about the schedule. There's a little bit more details if you go to their Facebook page that I hadn't seen. But if you want to know how it actually plays out, qualifying, getting involved and doing it, which I'm heavily encouraging you guys to do, there's definitely more information available for the searching versus it being one of those completely unknown, how do I get involved type things. And that takes me to my very last news story of the day. And I talked about Monster Supercross, the official game. And one thing that I noticed is that they actually have a track editor. Track editors, to me, it's a cool concept. Oh, we're getting an advertisement. Oh, no, that's a track editor right there. So, in case you wanted to build a Lego track or a building block track, you can totally just take a picture with your cell phone and download it into the game. That's the way it's going to work. No, I'm totally full of it. Anyway, but you can customize your own layouts, and I like that concept, and that's something that when we talk about game versus sim, wouldn't it be kind of fun if some of our sims even, or some of our games actually went old school and gave us some track editor options? I know iRacing would never have such a thing, but can you imagine having a track editor for the Global Rallycross in iRacing? Wouldn't that be badass? So, anyway, that is going to be something cool added to that game, and hopefully something when we talk about that the pie of Sims, picking best aspects. You know what? Maybe this is a category that needs to be a slice of the pie that needs to be added. So, me too, Dennis. I hope so too. I think motorcycles are very difficult to simulate the way we do them. And, you know, using a controller is almost a better option than a steering wheel and pedals. And the way you drive a bike is completely, or ride a bike, and that's better wording almost than driving a bike. But it's just completely different. Yeah, great talk here. You know what? I'm going to pull that up. I'm glad you mentioned that. Let me take a small diversion here on you guys. I know today's a long show. I hope you bear with me. I hope these long conversations about things going on in our wonderful world of sim racing are entertaining. I guess you wouldn't be here if it wasn't, but to me it's just like I've told you over and over again about how just having people to hang out and talk with about sim racing and this great hobby we have that none of my real life friends, or very few of my real life friends, are involved in it. But I'm a huge Joe Rogan fan, and whether you're talking about back on that news radio show, back when he was a comedian, whether you're talking about him as a UFC commentator, I like Joe Rogan. I think he's just a cool guy. He's down to earth. He's a reasonable human being, it seems, well-grounded. Anyway, Danica Patrick actually sat and did a 2-hour and 15-minute interview with him. And, you know, say what you will. I mean, you bring up the name Danica Patrick, and it's like, it's almost like talking politics. You're just going to get people to come out and say, oh, I hate Danica Patrick. And then you're going to come out and have people that come out and say that they love Danica Patrick. You know, I've actually met her in person. And, you know, she's, Joe Rogan even says that she's an intense person. And she is. But you know what? Say what you will about Danica. She's accomplished things. She's paved the way to an extent. She's held her own to an extent. Did she have an incredible career? No. She was out there. There are a lot of guys in NASCAR who are just out there, let's face it. So, anyway, but cool interview. Obviously, if they went 2 hours, 15 minutes, it's pretty cool. What was your first impressions, Nutella? Yell Danica instead of Monica. Now that's funny. That's a good inside joke if you're part of the pit crew. So that does take me to the end of the news. I know we're long here on a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's just quickly move into other things I do want to mention going on. Number one, tonight, the Simpit McLaren F1 GTR series on sim racing system. We're at Imola. We're there. And we're going to be racing tonight at 6 p.m. I'll be streaming that live from my camera view, and last night we did a practice session that went okay. It didn't go great. It didn't go terribly. I have to do a little bit more work to get to race pace, but I'm going to be driving more in iRacing today, which is probably going to just throw me more and more off. Too much distinctly different racing going on for me right now. Beyond that, a few people have sent me emails very recently. We have a new one down in South Africa, another one down on the southeast coast of the United States. But the Simpit pit crew is growing. And you can see we are covering all over the world. If you do not see your area represented, you got to email me, Sean, S-H-A-U-N, at thesimpit.com. And I will add you to the map just to keep it going. And at some point, we're just going to cover this whole thing up in red. I can see it are good majorities of the region. Certainly Europe and America, and maybe in South America and Australia, at least the populated areas of Australia. And my last thought of the day is Patron. And this comes first in the form of a thank you. I'm overwhelmed and blown away. When I started the Patron program, it was by request of several viewers who've been pushing me to doing such a thing. And so my whole thing is I'm not a handout. I'm not a beg for help kind of guy. I'm not a donations guy even. So I developed the whole Patron program around hopefully giving you guys some good rewards, some perks that made it feel really good, like it was a reciprocated value. Anyway, I don't want to get off topic, and I'm not even trying to promote the Patron. I just want to say thank you guys. I mean, we already have 62 people, $479 contributed. When we hit 500, which we will probably hit in the next few days at the rate things have been going, we are going to do a monthly pit crew patron-only race. And we'll probably bounce from sim to sim so that we can make it available to everybody, because not everybody does iRacing or Assetto or RFactor. So we'll bounce each month. And I'm going to put up a Simpit t-shirt to a random person in the race, or maybe just to a random patron member in honor of the race. So if you can't be in the race, you're still eligible. But I'm going to sit in the broadcast booth and actually call the race. So again, you guys are going to be the real star of the show, because it's all about you and you guys having fun and getting a very exclusive race here at the Simpit, and a way of honoring you guys for being part of the Patron program. So I had promised at 500 we'd start that monthly. We are there, or just around the corner from it. So get ready to race is the real thing. So that is going to do it for today's show. So much on the plate. Mitchie is going to be here as soon as I get off the air. He is back on the air. He's going to be doing some Formula Renault at Road America. That should be very good. You know, when he gets on the track, you always learn something. He's certainly one of those guys who's going to push me, push you to go faster and be better and have more fun. I mean, let's face it, winning races, being faster is more fun. So that is going to do it today. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being part of the pit crew and making these shows so much fun each and every day. This is the Simpit. I'm Sean Cole, and I'll see you on the track.